Welcome back to year 2 of the Blue and White Players Show. I am your host, Aeneas Hawkins, joined by the legendary, the one and only Keith Goon Conlon. Year 2, Keith, how are we feeling?
Loving life, baby. How you doing?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Enjoyed that game on Saturday, the environment, being back in Beaver Stadium, man.
Oh, boy, that's my favorite thing in the whole world. You know that. I mean, I just love it. Everything about it. The whole weekend, the whole build-up and this and that. The weather was absolutely fantastic. People loving life, and the game went great. And,
1-0, like the sign says behind us. Shout out Coach Franklin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know back home, Coach Franklin is an absolute stickler about staying focused on 1 week at a time, especially with the grind of a Big Ten schedule. Let's get into the game a little bit. Obviously, opened up with a Power 5 opponent in West Virginia. That's not an easy task for anybody. Second season in a row, in my opinion, with a tough opener. Third season, if you look back to Wisconsin in 2021, opened up with West Virginia. What did you see, especially on the offensive side of the ball? New quarterback.
Yeah.
How'd he look?
Cheers. I'm very, very happy for the future. I know that much. I mean, he looked fantastic. The check downs, stepping up in the pocket, making just some fantastic throws, and he wasn't locked in on anybody per se, but he was spreading the wealth pretty good out there. And if we want to get into it, I said before going into the game that West Virginia is going to go in there and they're going to say, okay, you're a freshman or a first-year starting quarterback. You're not going to run the ball on us. You're going to have to throw the ball on us. You're going to have to prove that you are a good quarterback. And, he knew that. I mean, there's no doubt they knew that going in. So they were going to load the box and stop that run for sure. And they really did. I mean, if you're going to say 170 yards rushing is a down night, then it is a down night. But it was a good night. But for him to dominate the game the way he did and the way he spread the ball around, knowing that they were telling him, you got to beat us. We're not going to let your run game beat us. And that's how it's going to be for the first couple of weeks until he becomes to the point where they're like, okay, this kid Aller is a problem. I mean, that's what every football team wants to be.
I think that point where people cut on the film and realize that Drew Aller is a problem might be next week. Yeah. I don't know how much longer that he's going to be a secret. Obviously, Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen are gigantic threats in themselves. No. That's the beauty of the Penn State offense this year. It's the most complete group of talent that I've seen. I mean, all season long, the wide receiver room was a question mark. Who's going to be the number one guy? Keandre Lambert-Smith hadn't been consistent to that point. Then he opens up with a 120-yard, 2-touchdown game.
He might be a primetime player.
Yeah. I mean, from what I had heard about Keandre, he's a guy, obviously, he's been super talented since day one. I remember when he walked into the Lash building for the first time as a freshman and was able to, I mean, we had Tariq Castro Fields, who's an NFL guy in there. Yep. We had Jaquan Brisker. I mean, he was from day one able to go in there and compete with those guys. For him to now have taken that step where he's able to be consistent and he's able to be a leader in a room that needs a leader at this time, I think it's huge for the offense.
I mean, we had great tight end play. I mean, we knew that going in that we had a very good tight end game. But again, you got to look at what West Virginia was trying to do, and that was we're not going to get run out of this building by the run game. And we have to go out there and our will on teams, and that's what we have to do this week against Delaware. And that is saying, okay, you are a 1AA team. We're going to treat you like that. Go out there and run the ball. But they're going to sit there. They're going to put 8 in the box, and they're going to say, "Aller, you got to beat us." That's just the way they have to do it. I mean, I'm not going to hark back to the 90s. I don't want you to get all, like, oh, Goon's
right, here he goes, talking about the 90s again.
I'm yelling at clouds outside earlier. I mean, there was one who was really coming down low. I was getting mad at it, man. But it's like, I mean, we had Kerry and Kijana, and that's the thing. I mean, you have Todd Blackledge and Kurt Warner. It's like, okay, how do you want to get beat this week?
Right.
Do you want to get beat by the run game? You want to get beat by this passing game? Because it's going to happen. And hopefully if they try to stop the run and they do stop the run, hopefully the quarterback has an off day and then they have a shot.
Yeah.
Man, that's the greatest thing about what we have going on right now is that.
I want to kind of focus on the run game a little bit. Obviously, last week, a guy that you and I both know and love, unfortunately had announced his medical retirement. Yep. Landon Tengwall, a super talented football player, a guy that actually made me realize that it was time to retire from football with him and Olu double teaming in the scout period. That's neither here nor there. He's a great guy, one of my favorite teammates of all time. How did you feel like the offensive line did in replacing him? JB Nelson steps up as the left guard. What you see out of that group?
Well, I mean, with Landon, I got to tell one quick story here, and that is when it's about 5 years ago, Mark Brennan called me and says, "You got to come down here and watch this football camp." So this is an 8th grader here.
This kid's 11.
Yeah, he's an 8th grader. He's destroying 4-star recruited defensive linemen. And Mark was like, "This is unbelievable what's going on here." And I'm like, no way is that kid. And they were like, no, he's in 8th, 9th grade. It's crazy how good he was. And just a good kid. I mean, he was on the show last year. I hung out with him once or twice met him and his father one time. And it just fantastic. Just a lot of similarities and stuff like that to, me playing and him getting hurt. And, I was really worried about it because he had a lot of injuries as a younger guy, but having to retire, that's a hard pill to swallow at that age. And, knowing his future, but I did send him a message last week and, just said, hey, man, it's about your health and your safety to begin with you in the long run. That's more important than playing in any kind of game. And he understands that. He just knows he needs to get back to being healthy and, moving on.
No doubt about it.
And what he'll do is he'll work for the team. It's fantastic what they're going to do. They'll have him out there, and he's going to sit there as a medical redshirt, still on scholarship, still finish his education, and helping out the younger guys.
It's a great situation to be at Penn State football if you have the unfortunate situation where you got to stop playing. Coach Franklin, I remember as a recruit, would always tell guys, hey, this is a 40-year commitment, not a 4-year commitment. And I think that's one thing he does a good job of is if you're a guy who's going to do the right things, you're in class, you're a leader in the locker room, you're not causing any problems, and you're doing what you can to help the team, whatever that role looks like, he's going to keep you around. So, respect to Landon Tengwall. I wish him the best. He is not the loser in this situation. He's getting a jump start on life after football, which, as we know, happens for everybody.
Yeah, and he's going to take advantage of his education. He's got 3 more years to be here. You can walk out of here pretty damn well educated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can.
And he will. He'll take advantage of that. And he'll, like I said, he'll find a job within the building that he can still be involved with football. And that's the greatest thing is that he just wants to be involved with football. Football is that sport. Someone tells you when you're done playing.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about any other sport in this world: hockey, basketball, tennis, golf. We're at the Penn State Golf Course right now, so we're talking about it. You can play till the day you die. Football, organized football, I should say. Someone tells you when you're done, whether that's in high school, college, professionals, or your wife.
It's
going to happen.
Which may be the most authoritative figure in that group. Let's shift focus real quick.
Yep.
Let's talk defense. I'm a 3 technique. All year long, I was excited to see the defensive line as a unit. They have so much talent in that room right now, from Denied Dennis Sutton to a decent chop in that end room. And on the inside, I was really excited to see the way they were able to penetrate. Hakeem Beamon put on 30 pounds in this offseason, and he played like it on Saturday. Devon Elise is doing some good things. Zane Durant, a young guy who is a physical freak. 300 pounds, like 10% body fat. He's built like a Greek god. What did you see defensively? Similar to you. Yeah, no, correct.
Very similar. I'm really close on this guy.
Honestly, he molded his whole offseason to get to your physique.
Well, Hakeem put 30 pounds on. He took it off of you, dude.
Yeah, no, that's funny. I appreciate
that. Looking good, man.
I appreciate you, man.
Making us all look bad over here, by the way. Way to go, Aeneas.
Here you go. What did you see defensively?
Those guys just dominated that line of scrimmage. They took the offensive line, and I don't want to be knocking on some of our players in the last 5-10 years, but there was a time where our offensive line was getting knocked in the backfield every play, and that's what was going on there. And that West Virginia had a pretty good offensive line.
Yeah, they did.
The quarterback played very, very well. Our offensive line was an older group, and they got overwhelmed a whole bunch of times. But all in all, I'm happy with the win.
Happy. Want to know is the most important thing. And like you say, you look at the West Virginia offense, you look at Garrett Green, the quarterback, who was able to do some things with his feet, extend a couple plays. We did let up a couple too many explosive runs, in my opinion. But again, it's week 1. Yep. Tackling is always an issue. You can talk to the differences in training camp now versus when you were playing. It's just less opportunities to actually tackle. So those things are to be expected.
100%. Yeah. you go back to, I say it starts with the NFL and the old, you're not doing full-time practices. They're not having full go practices, AKA tackling and stuff like that. So the things that suffer early in the season are special teams play, because you can never go live because you don't want to risk any kind of injury in preseason camp, and then any kind of live tackling, because you really don't do that anymore. There's not, God rest his soul, but we would have 5 or 6 scrimmages in a 5-week camp with Joe back in the day. You're going, it was.
You guys were tougher than me. I'll tell you what, man. That's a lot of scrimmages in 5 weeks.
Well, still probably only about 2. I got to double it up. You know what I mean? But it goes back to, like I said, the NFL. They're not practicing hard and this and that, and you really see offensive line play suffer early because let's not kid ourselves, Aeneas. I mean, we're better looking and smarter and better, offensive line guys. But you guys got one job.
Better looking than who?
Offensive line. We're better looking than you guys. We're the happy, fat,
we'll
clean,
let that slide.
Nice people.
We'll let that go.
The defensive line job is like see the ball, hit the ball, kill.
Yep.
Our job is technique, working on cadences, working on timing, and that's the stuff that suffers when you're not going live. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it every time on my radio show this week, and that is that the most improvement you're going to see on a football team is week 1 to week 2.
Yep.
Because you're going live last week was the first time you actually had live action, and the guys are going to say, okay, well, when I saw this, and the coaches are going to say, look at your right hand right here. If you put that inside there, and they'll pick up on it. A lot of little stuff will catch on, and they will pick up. But again, it's about the improvement from week 1 to week 2. And I got to say that is James's thing is that 1-0 is over. You got to be 1-0 this week.
Yep.
And I've really, really enjoyed what he says with that mantra, and that is that we're not worried about West Virginia's gone. They're on to Delaware right now, and that's all they have to worry about is getting that 1-0 victory against Delaware this week.
I love the way Coach Franklin does that. You can say 1-0, but what he does to actually put it in act and really ingrain it in people's heads. Saturday night, you're allowed to enjoy the victory, enjoy being 1-0. You wake up Sunday morning, get back to the building, you watch the film, you review how you played, then you get to the practice, they blow the air horns real loud, real dramatic, and they let it know that you're moving on to Delaware. West Virginia is done for, and you got to get better.
And that goes with a win or loss. So you have to stress that.
Either way.
And that is the biggest thing is the worst thing can happen to football players is you're sitting there, especially as a player, is worrying about the last play. You have an offensive tackle. I got beat. If you keep thinking about getting beat that one play, you're going to get beat again. And that's going to compound if you don't stop. You got to stop thinking about it. So you can't think about losses, can't think about wins like that. You got to get through, get it over with, and move on and get on to your next, the next thing, which is obviously Delaware.
Yeah. Last question I want to ask you before the break. Who were the guys that you saw on either side of the football that surprised you in terms of where they were in their development, how much they were able to impact the game?
Well, Little Clifford, your
boy.
Clifford,
yeah.
Little Clifford looked like a Wes Welker out there. And, he was the little slot guy, but he made some plays. He was making great plays out there. And then other than that, it was a good team game, good win.
Yep.
I'm not happy with the special teams, but that sort of was a people were talking about that going into the season being an issue. But as our good friend Mark Brennan did put out on Facebook today that there was a guy named Sam Ficken who missed 4 out of 5 field goals.
No doubt about it. I think Sam Ficken turned out
10
all right.
years, and he did damn well in his career for Penn State. So
yeah, and there's a kind of misconception that, you come out of training camp at the college level with everything answered, and rarely does that happen. There's always going to be a question mark somewhere on the field. We saw that with the field goal kicking, obviously, this past week. But I want to get back to the point with Liam Clifford. I remember reading articles where the number 3 receiver was like the biggest question heading into this game. And now after seeing Liam, the performance he was able to put together, Malik McLean did some really good things and turned some heads. And then Dante Cephas even did some good things with opportunities he was given. I think the problem may be you got a lot of guys who can play the number 3 receiver position rather than not having one. And I'm just excited to see that group continue to gel and mold, especially with the way Drew is facilitating the football around.
Yeah, you're 2 years out of these guys. These are your puppies. These are the guys you were they were the little kids when
they
you
were
got
young
moving. You love seeing what they're doing.
It's exciting.
It's fantastic watching that. You had a guy, he probably came here at 17 years old, probably scared.
Let me give you a story.
Yeah, please.
Liam Clifford, Sean Clifford's little brother, I played against Sean my junior year of high school, his senior year, on the sideline before that game, which was back in 1997, like you're saying. Nonetheless, Liam Clifford is on the sideline, shoes untied, wearing a Sean Clifford jersey that goes down to his knees. And now to see him making plays on NBC is like, how old am I? What's going on here?
Man.
Yeah, man.
What was your experience going out yesterday or Saturday?
It's always exciting.
Pregame warm-up, pregame tailgates, right?
Yeah,
shows.
Do the talk show pregame, kind of walk around, feel the environment out. Going into the stadium, though, I love sitting in that corner where the D-line warms up. Music gets going. I'm still only 2 years removed from it. I'm getting goosebumps when I stand in there and listen to the music. My fight or flight kicks in like I'm still playing, or I was ever playing. Nonetheless, it's exciting to be in there and see those guys. Like you said, those relationships right now that I have on the team are guys that were literal babies when I was there. Yeah. They were still figuring out how to put one foot in front of the other in a defense or an offense, and now they're the ones leading the team. Yep. It's amazing to watch.
it's even better when you start seeing these guys get drafted in the NFL, and you're like, wow,
no doubt about
great,
it, man.
It's fantastic.
I've never enjoyed an NFL preseason more than I did this year. Watching all those guys, Mitch Tinsley making the Washington Commanders, PJ Mustipher making the practice squad, all exciting stuff. But we'll get back to it with more. We got Curtis Jacobs in the house. We're going to talk to him about his experience Saturday and his overall experience at Penn State, and bring you more live Penn State football coverage. Stay with us.
Make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Win, lose, I will pour my heart out until there is nothing left to give, and I will leave everything in that ring.
On Saturday, September 16th, will you be there live when AEW Collision makes its debut at the Bryce Jordan Center at State College?
I'm tired of being nice.
Saturday nights will never be the same again on TNT.
The hottest action in wrestling is right here on AEW Collision.
Be there live to witness what the best in the world, CM Punk, has to say next.
Is it great to be alive on a Saturday night or what?
Don't miss The Redeemer, Miro, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage, Willow, Powerhouse Hobbs, The House of Black, Andrade, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, Scorpio, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, Bullet Club Gold, FTR, and all your favorite stars will be in action.
Listen to that response.
Saturday nights, all right for fighting. Don't miss AEW Collision live at the Bryce Jordan Center.
What a moment. We are about to take off.
Get your tickets now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Like, I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad. Like, Dad, what's Dad? Want to go play, Dad? Let's go ride bikes, Dad! Dad! Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, Dad! Run! Open a window! Mom, what did you see in that?
From his Netflix specials and F is for Family, Bill Burr, live, October 4th, Bryce Jordan Center. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bill Burr, live.
Mercy Me is coming to State College. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me. Crowder. And special guest Andrew Ripp. October 7th at Bryce Jordan Center. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp. For tickets and more info, visit mercyme.org.
Old Dominion. No Bad Vibes Tour. Friday, December 1st. Bryce Jordan Center. With special guest Chase Rice and Kylie Morgan. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Old Dominion, live in concert. Brought to you by Messina Touring Group.
Welcome right back. As Curtis Jacobs tells me I look like Jair Brown. We'll take the compliment.
Welcome
Kurt,
to the locker room, baby.
Welcome to the locker room. Kurt, how are you feeling? Big game on Saturday, big W. What was that like out there on that field?
It was great, man. It was great getting back out there, being able to make plays again. Obviously, being able to get after the quarterback. You know, that's something we've been waiting to do since camp started. So it felt good to be able to do that and do it to a high level.
One thing I want to ask about, I saw your sack. I loved the pressure that you guys ran. I was just saying, Manny Diaz does such a good job hiding those pressures. Yeah. What did you see on that play that allowed you to go make that play?
So I saw first the DN and the safety, they were supposed to VTech. So obviously seeing those guys, they're supposed to get inside. So I had contain, but I saw there was no contain. They kind of fanned out. So I just saw it open up, and it's beautiful, man. That's the part of the game you love, when something like that can come to you because you're just doing your job.
And be able to hit somebody else other than your own teammate.
Yeah.
Well, you're not allowed to hit your own teammates anymore, but at least
if you touch Drew,
somebody.
you touch Drew during practice, it ain't gonna go well for you.
They gonna send you right back
true.
home. Yeah. Quick story on that note, actually. When Sean Clifford was still a backup quarterback, PJ Mustipher was having a bad training camp practice and busted through the line of scrimmage and decided he'd suplex Sean right in front of Franklin, and he got 400 up downs. My guy was there all night long.
Yeah, Sean was one of those that he kind of played with that because he knew you couldn't touch him.
And he would talk.
So he would talk to you. He would get you mad.
He's real tough when nobody can touch him.
And especially with him being a guy that like makes plays with his feet, it makes you upset because like you could have tackled him right there, but like they're giving him 15 extra yards, letting the drive keep going. But it's awesome. It's definitely good work for the defense.
Did any of the left tackles somehow mistakenly miss a block to get Clifford ear hole?
I don't know if it got that bad, man. We'll have to check in with Rasheed Walker and see what he's thinking. I want to talk about LBU, man. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Just on Saturday, I run into Micah Parsons, LeVar Arrington's back in town, Brandon Short, who does not get mentioned enough when we talk LBU. Yeah. And then obviously in the room right now, guys like you, Abdul, Kobe King, who looks so much better than he did last year and looks really comfortable in that defense. What has it been like being a leader in that room in year 2 under Manny Diaz?
Yeah, it's just buying into the standard. Soon as Manny showed up, I knew it was all going to change. Just the intensity and how we attacked things, how we played. But just the way that we were able to gel together and set that standard, it started with me, Abdul, and Kobe coming together and just really holding the room to a standard. And it's even more guys, Elsden, Dom DeLuca, those guys have been critical to us. Mm-hmm. And I felt like we did a good job to start.
It seems like you guys have a good combination of super duper athletic freaks and then a guy like Dom DeLuca who's going to come downhill and hit you no matter who you are. Mm-hmm. How have you guys been able to gel and play together with those different body types and physiques and physical capabilities?
It's just constant communication and constant togetherness while we're on the field. I don't think there's one drive where we came off that field and we weren't talking about every single play that happened, what you saw, what the guy in front of you saw, even if you're not on the field, and just having that communication so we know the next time we go out, if we saw something and they try to bring it back, we're already on to that.
Yep. You got to like the fact that Manny sends you guys a lot. You guys are way more aggressive than you have been in the last few years. And that's just because you guys have the ability and have the athleticism to make those plays, and he's just going to line you up and go, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works with a defense like ours. We're too athletic to just sit back and let teams try to throw the ball and pick on our corners. Obviously, we want to make the game as easy as possible for everyone. So just having guys like Chop Robertson after the quarterback, Adisa Isaac, Abdul, Zane Durant, it definitely makes a difference.
I want to ask you about that D-line group specifically. Obviously, you're playing right behind them. You're feeling the impact of the way they're playing at all of those positions. What's different about that group? I watch them play. I see the athleticism. I see the way that they play together within the realm of the defense. What's it been like with that group so far?
It's been amazing. Those guys have been dominant all camp, just seeing the amount of bites they were able to get, just like their strength. 2 guys that really impressed me is Hakeem Beamon and Zane Durant. Not only are they playing fast, which everyone sees that, we saw that last year, but this year they're strike and they're getting off the ball. Like there was a play the other day, Coach Diaz showed it in film today. I think West Virginia snapped the ball, and within a second, we had 4 D linemen in the backfield. It's definitely some amazing going on.
Changing the line of scrimmage is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, those guys, you could push those guys back a whole nother yard. I mean, it's like I told Aeneas on our first segment is, you know, we didn't have great offensive lines here for the past few years. Even when Saquon was here, we didn't have great offensive line. But it just seemed like those guys were getting pushed back a yard, and now we're the team pushing people back on offense and defense. And I'm sure we'll get into the offensive line love fest when we have offensive linemen here. But
I think it's complimentary too, because those offensive linemen they had to see us pretty much every day for 2 months straight. So just having those guys get that consistent work, I feel like it made them better as well.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yes, sir.
We'll show the O-line a little love. Obviously, Olu Fashanu, you got a guy like Hunter Norzad. JB Nelson steps up in a big way on Saturday. You're a guy that's practicing against Nick Singleton and Katron Allen every single day. You have a better perspective than almost anybody in the country on the types of athletes that they are. Can you speak to them, maybe some of their differences and what makes them work well together as a unit?
It's fire or what is the
Thunder and Lightning is what you're going with. Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing because just seeing those guys, how they work, how they approach their day every day. Like Fat Man, he's my locker mate, so I get to see
Fat Man being Katron Allen.
Yeah. I get to see it, how he approaches every day. It's incredible, man. Those guys, they work incredibly hard, and we have a saying, don't let 10 get an open field, man. We got to keep him with at least 2 tacklers on him at all time. I feel like it's like you said, iron sharpens iron. It just makes it all better.
You guys are enjoying that nice run game as a defensive front defense in total, and that is that you're not coming off the sideline and they're going 3 and out. You guys are back out there. You're not having that much as of yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we won't see that for a while, if at all. But that's a huge thing, is that you guys be able to get your rest and not be on the field as much, because it takes less plays for you to guys get injured type of thing, and it takes it's a long season.
Yeah, it's just complimentary football. Obviously, no matter what the situation is, we're always going to have their back, and just knowing that they go out there and they have our back as well, and we can be at peace on the sideline, making our corrections, making our adjustments, and be ready to go out there again the next drive.
Right, man.
A name that I keep hearing getting mentioned, I haven't had the chance to watch him too closely yet, is Tony Rojas.
Mm-hmm.
He's a freshman that people are saying is a guy that will be a leader in that LBU room, is a guy who's probably ready to play now and has an opportunity to learn from guys like you.
Yeah.
What's that dynamic been like? How have you seen him grow since stepping foot on campus?
It's been really good. Obviously, he's a guy that came in the mid-year. That's a little tough for some guys. Those are some of the most horrible workouts.
Those are long days. Those are long days, man. We could do a whole show on winter workouts.
Yeah, but just seeing how he attacked it from day one, like I showed up ready to dominate that day and really be a leader, and I felt like I did dominate that day, and I got this freshman beating me in sprints.
This 18-year-old fresh legs, man.
Fresh legs, man. And he's had that approach with everything, man, with how he's played football, how he approaches in the classroom, and I think he's going to be really good for us.
I think the biggest compliment he gets, as in Rojas, is that you guys are talking about him.
Yeah.
It's not the coaches talking about him or the fans who are like, reading how many stars he has. It's coming from players saying, this guy's going to be pretty damn good. Keep your eyes on him. So you're talking about preseason workouts and winter workouts, and me and Aeneas were talking pregame. I mean, we enjoy our pregame out there, but I mean, you're talking about 35 weeks a year where you guys are just humping.
When
you know what I mean? You got 6 a.m. on a February Tuesday.
Yeah,
man.
That's what people don't realize. What you guys are doing, what we had to do in the past, and that is that's your job is 365.
Yeah,
they see you 10, 12 weekends a year. Being out there, and it's greatness and that. But that's actually a release for us, for you guys, going out and playing the game and hitting somebody else and not having to do all that crap. But it's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah, and it's great to see. Just like I feel like any advice I can give to a freshman coming into a college situation like that, just put your head down and grind, because I feel like once you gain the respect of the guys you're playing with, that's gold. It's what's going to get you in the game, because they can trust you at that point.
Yeah, like Rojas coming in here early, you have to put that in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know what I was doing in my December of my senior year in high school.
I mean,
I know exactly what I was doing.
I used to always laugh at the first winter workout and think about the guys who were missing prom to be
like,
here
you're
at 5
here for
a.m.
this? Like, what are you doing?
Absolutely.
But the fact that he did that, and some guys do that, because that's not like he didn't decide to do that in November of last year. That was a couple years in advance. Like, okay, I'm going to leave. And then, there's guys who probably try to do that, and James is probably like, dude, you're not going to play. I mean, there's no reason for you to try to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, does he get to that point where that would be said?
Nobody asked me to come to winter workouts, so I'll leave it at that. I don't have a firm answer. I know what my experience
You just showed up and they were like, "All right, here you go.
All right, guess Hawks here.
What number do we have left here?"
Yeah, give him a 27 number, man. He doesn't need it.
He's playing D-line, 27. Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever. It's a medium.
Yeah, that's good.
He'll
He's
live
good
with
to
it.
go.
Let him get out there, man.
Anyway, let's start some 40s real quick, Aeneas.
Anyway,
that is why you're number 27.
I will never forget running the 40 test. Never was a fast guy, and they put me in between KJ Hamler and Odafe Owe, two guys that run 4.3s. And the difference in the way the room responded when we all approached the line was, it was just absolutely nuts. It was like watching a movie when KJ Hamler got on the line and nobody even looked at me.
Two thoroughbreds running next to a Clydesdale.
Oh, my goodness. It was ridiculous, man.
Dude.
It was like the staff knew what they were doing, and they wanted to provide some comic relief for the guys in there grinding. But, hey, man, know your role is what Coach Franklin says.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, on a serious note, let's look forward to the rest of the season. Obviously, expectations are high. 11-2 last year. You win a Rose Bowl. What is it mentally that it takes to continue to grind out a Big Ten year, understanding that you guys have high hopes of a playoff appearance and competing for a Big Ten title?
It's just, I feel like for me personally and for the team, it's just understanding the standard and having your habits every day in your day-to-day life just align with where you want to go. And I feel like we have a really good, mature team, and I think we can do it.
I think you do too. I think that I've been saying it for a year and a half. I think you guys were so well led last year that now it's like to the point now where you guys got to do better than those guys.
Yeah,
they won a Rose Bowl, so now you got to go one step ahead of them.
It's not even that. I just feel like the way that they did things and the way that we did things last year, it rubbed off on everybody because it just became the norm. And when it becomes the norm, you just keep pushing and keep grinding and finding ways to make yourself better.
Absolutely. I mean, just to tell you, that's been a thing that I've had issues with before the last few years, and that was it didn't seem like that, and I just noticed that last year. Now again, I was with you guys seeing more of this Monday night like radio show and talking to you guys. I had a better feel for you guys, but I could tell that. I mean, Aeneas was telling me like, dude, we want the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, man, that's all right. I mean, whether it happened, you guys still had that goal, even with 2 losses last year. You still kept that goal, and it happened, and you won it. I mean, that is the standard that's been set, but now you guys got to do one step better, and we all know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt about it. One guy I want to ask you about before we get to the break, Devon Elise is a guy that you played high school football with at McDonough. You guys were teammates with P.J. Mustipher, the legendary Will Knutson, who gets forgotten in the conversation.
Yeah.
How have you seen Devon in his 5th year grow and develop as a leader up front, especially after losing a guy like P.J.?
It's been amazing. I feel like there hasn't really been a drop-off. Just having a guy that's willing to hold people accountable, I feel like that's a trait he's had since high school, and it's really gelled in this year as we bring new leadership in. I remember a story. It was actually, I think it was his senior night. We were playing this football team, and Dvon challenged me a little bit. He basically said I had to step up what I was doing. We were losing by a little bit, and it struck with me a little bit. I went out there and made a couple plays, and I attest that to him. We ended up coming up just a little short, but just like his willing to push you to be a better player in a moment, it's unlike others.
It's important.
Was this game at Iowa?
No, this is high school. This is high school.
Oh, well, you made some plays at the Iowa game a couple years ago when we needed them made.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I'm watching. So, all right, what are you here at Penn State for? What are you majoring in? What's your future?
I'm in telecom. I'm not really sure.
There's a lot of money in it.
Yeah,
you can tell by me and the names. I mean, lap of luxury over here.
I'm not really sure what the future holds for me. I know I want to stay around the game, possibly coaching or
you want to play as long as you can.
But obviously. Yeah. But you always have to have your backup plan when it comes to that.
I'd love to hear that.
You have to hang up the cleats. But I really appreciate how Penn State has really wrapped its arms around me and allowed me to become a man.
It's a hell of the communications majors. Yeah. Great major up here. Fantastic. So
shout out to Belisario.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask all these guys throughout the year here. So you got about a minute or two here if you got me. Give me some good NIL stuff. I mean, I know, besides the whole like, oh, they gave me this or that, what are you using the money on productive-wise? Because I know what I would do, and it wouldn't be too productive. But I had some conversations with guys this past weekend, and I was like, yeah, it's probably good we didn't have this. But, I mean, I know that there's good and great stuff coming out of this, I came up and, playing in the 90s and this and that, and we were winning a lot of football games, and we didn't have this opportunity, so it's freaking awesome, and we're so happy that you guys had this opportunity to go out and get it. But I want to know like the inside, like what is your inside scoop like? Have you done anything good with any kind of no money needs to be talked about, but just like anything good stories?
I'm not really sure about stories. I really just tried to better myself and start to really project to become a man in this life, because a lot of people get this money, they'll think like, oh, I gotta spend it on this, I gotta buy this because it's stuff you never had. Yeah,
I'm 50. I still do that, dude.
Stuff you never had. But I think the best part of this is just the guys that come around talking to guys about saving money and specifically like putting money into things that you that can help you sustain yourself for the rest of your life, help you sustain a family, help you create generational wealth within your family. So I feel like I've been looking more into that stuff.
The real world comes fast, man.
Yeah.
It does. One thing I'll say about NIL that I feel strongly about is that it puts you in a position where you got to start thinking that way earlier. A lot of guys before were getting to the NFL and getting paid millions of dollars and had never had more than $5,000 in their bank account, right? And how do you handle that when you don't come from an environment where you have that type of opportunity, right? Yeah, 5,000 is a big stretch.
Rockefellers?
Anyways.
$50 in college, man. No, I did see, there is some horror stories out there. I did see the guy from the Bears is now suing an NIL company.
Yeah.
He played at Florida last year. And he signed the contract, and in the small print said they get 15% of all future earnings before taxes.
Yeah.
And the NFL. That's insane.
That's why it's important to have people
I
in your
love
corner.
that Penn State has an NIL guide. I'm glad you're
and
taking advantage of it.
There's so many resources when it comes to this NIL stuff. And I'm really appreciative to how Penn State has stepped their game up with that. Just so many resources. I know Miss Ann, one big real estate advisor around the area. She's been really helpful for me. Obviously, just helping me sort all of this stuff out, man. And I call her aunt because she just has been that hands-on with us, and it's crazy. Like someone you never know can really love on you like that.
That's why you come to Penn State. You know, that alumni network they always talk about now is getting plugged into a little bit, man.
Yeah, there's your 40-year commitment, because that's
no doubt about
you're
it.
buying into right there, brother.
No doubt about it. Kurt, appreciate you joining us. Stick with us right from the break. We'll have Devon Elise, Penn State D tackle, up here with us. Kurt, appreciate you. We'll be back soon.
Make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Win, lose, I will pour my heart out until there is nothing left to give, and I will leave everything in that ring.
On Saturday, September 16th, will you be there live when AEW Collision makes its debut at the Bryce Jordan Center at State College?
I'm tired of being nice.
Saturday nights will never be the same again on TNT.
The hottest action in wrestling is right here on AEW Collision.
Be there live to witness what the best in the world, CM Punk, has to say next.
Is it great to be alive on a Saturday night or what?
Don't miss The Redeemer, Miro, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage, Willow, Powerhouse Hobbs, The House of Black, Andrade, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, Scorpio, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, Bullet Club Gold, LTR, and all your favorite stars will be in action.
Listen to that response.
Saturday nights, all right for fighting. Don't miss AEW Collision live at the Bryce Jordan Center.
What a moment. We are about to take off.
Get your tickets now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Like, I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad. Like, Dad, what's Dad? We want to go play, Dad? Let's go ride bikes, Dad! Dad! Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, Dad! Run! Open a window! Mom, what did you see in that?
From his Netflix specials and F is for Family, Bill Burr, live, October 4th, Bryce Jordan Center. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bill Burr, live.
Mercy Me is coming to State College. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Ripp. October 7th at Bryce Jordan Center. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp. For tickets and more info, visit mercyme.org.
Old Dominion. No Bad Vibes Tour. Friday, December 1st. Bryce Jordan Center. With special guest Chase Rice and Kylie Morgan. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Old Dominion, live in concert. Brought to you by Messina Touring Group.
And we are right back, joined by none other than Devon Elise, a guy that I love and have been around for 5 years now. Devon, how are we doing today?
Doing good, blessed and highly favored. Woke up this morning healthy, ready to go.
Got to play in Beaver Stadium on Saturday in a night game. How'd that feel?
You know how it is. It's like no other. You know what I mean? It's just the fans are special. The atmosphere is special. football heaven.
Do you feel like in year 5, now as a guy who's seen it and understands that, hey, this is wrapping up after this season, do you feel like you appreciate it more now than what you did when you came in?
I would think so. I definitely had a strong appreciation for it at first, especially coming in, having the players that we had with the Cotton Bowl and everything like that. I definitely had appreciation then, but now just knowing it's all, coming to a conclusion, coming off a Rose Bowl and, seeing everything, like you said, I definitely appreciate it a lot more just because I know, it was here before me. It's going to be here after me, So.
Last time to do it, so it means a lot to you. No doubt about it. As a senior, there's something special about your senior year. I always talk about like your first start back in the day. You're like sitting there throwing up. You're chewing your fingernails. You're all nervous. Going to your 5th year, you're like, this is like, all right, let's just get this game over with. Let's go, man. And it's fun because you are that. Remember that when you were 18 years old and you're playing here against a 22-year-old dude, he's just bigger, stronger, and whipping you, beating you up pretty good, and now you're that guy.
Yeah,
Isn't that fun?
I don't think I've ever, been beaten up like that, but I definitely,
never.
That's what I'm saying. But I
Aeneas just rolled his eyes.
Dvon, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. But I definitely, I definitely know what you're talking about for sure. Just being the older guy in the room. Having that pull is definitely a lot different from when I was like 18, 19 years old coming in.
I will give Dvon credit. The one thing that you got to know about him is that he came in an athletic freak. I remember before Dvon even got to school, PJ would always warn me and Judge Culpepper, like, hey, you guys got to hurry up and get your careers going because this kid that's coming behind you is 300 pounds and can 180 dunk. This kid's a freak athlete. We got to hurry up. So you didn't get tossed around too much.
Yeah, no. And I think, like, my very first play of college football ever, I hit, like, an outside spin move against Maryland with no fear in my heart.
Yeah. You got yelled at in film.
Yeah, for sure. But I almost got there, though. So that was
You did.
That was the plus side of that. So
let's talk about the D-line room. No secret, you got a brand new D-line coach in Deion Barnes. Brand new. He was there GAing, but for him to make that leap right into being a position coach is wild. And it doesn't happen across college football. He's a young guy. How has he been as a leader? And where do you feel like you've seen him grow the most over the past 2 seasons?
Well, when you have a guy like Deion, just who's been in the game for so long, who's been in that room with us, you see that he's a special individual. That, like you guys said, that doesn't happen too often. But when you have pedigree such as like Deion Barnes, freshman All-American when he was here, part of the group called the Super Six, not many remember that, but part of that group, it just made sense for him to naturally take that next step, especially when you're talking about development. With Coach Scott and Deion, there was I feel like I experienced the most development just under those two. I spent a year under Spence.
Yep.
And Spence was a great coach, but under Deion especially, I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning new things every single day. And I think that's just a testament to who he is as a 5th-year player. I'm still learning, taking steps forward in my game here, especially playing in Manny Diaz's defense. So I think he's doing an incredible job as a coach. He's helping us grow as men, just giving us his life experiences and letting us know how he went about his business when he was a player, taking that next step, going on to the league, et cetera, et cetera. He's just doing a phenomenal job, and I commend him. As a young coach, you don't see that too often.
Not at that age. I mean, he's doing great for this age, and being at the Power 5 level, an elite Power 5 level, it's fantastic. So let's jump to the other side of the ball. You go against them every day. Our offensive line has really picked up in your 5 years, you'd say, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, they were. I mean, I'm gonna constantly talk about them because I gotta fight you guys all the time. So, but they struggled for a few years here for a long time because it is the easiest position to misrecruit. To miss the recruit it's very easy to do that on the offensive line because there's guys that are our size going against guys that are Aeneas his size, and we're just throwing those little guys around
all the time.
Aeneas is 182 pounds now playing deep tackle. So are you that big and strong, or are you really that dominant? And then and that seems to be a problem with the offensive line, recruiting wise, because you're not seeing somebody your size and to go out and dominate against those type of guys. So what have you seen other than they've recruited very well and they recruited depth finally, and they have that on the offensive line? What did you see on these guys improving through camp? Just say in your 5 years. Let's say that.
They've just cleaned up a lot. I mean, Coach Troutwine, first of all, I have to commend
Is he
him.
year 3?
He's year
because he's really
2021.
Yeah, he's gotten
just
rocking and rolling. He's got him going on pretty good.
Yeah, 2-3 years.
We went through what 4?
It might be 4 because Lime Grover left after the Cotton Bowl.
10 years.
This is
right.
year 4 for Troutwine. Yeah, year 4.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Wow.
Come on now.
And there it is. He has a whole roll of his guys that he recruited, that he has trained, and this and that, and now we're up and rolling. And we've been looking for that for 10, 15 years.
I mean, our O-line has improved dramatically just as far as like technique and such goes. And they just got dogs up front. You know what I mean? Like you have Olu, JB, Hunter, Salim Wormley, Caden Wallace.
It's fantastic, the depth that they have running in there.
And it's a lot of guys who play a lot of football.
They're very experienced players, you know, and I think you don't really have that too often around the country, especially at offensive line, to have talent like that, and then to have there be so many veterans in the room, especially being led by older guys like Caden, Sal, Olu, and Hunter, of course. You know, him being a 6-year player, he's had 100+ games in college football. So they've definitely improved just as far as strength, technique, and everything else goes. So I feel like they're doing a phenomenal job. And I notice it mainly because when I'm in the game, it's like, okay, I've taken on a double team by JB and Olu. So now I see Joe Schmo from whatever university. And I'm going to take on a double team from them. And it's like, okay, this is not Olu and JB. You know what I mean?
And in my opinion, that's what makes great football teams. When the toughest competition you face is in practice and it's every day, and your best players are the ones practicing the hardest, and that's the standard across the program, Saturdays take care of themselves.
And you're very well coached.
Right.
That is the biggest thing. And that I remember, back when my 5th year, like you're in right now, I remember a sophomore kid. Like I said, he was sitting next to me at breakfast, and he was like shaking. He was so scared. I'm like, dude, you're so well coached. You're an athlete, and you're so well coached that you're not going to have a problem out there. I said, everything happens in slow motion on Saturdays because you've seen it in practice 10 times, and you've gone against much, much, much better opponents. And at the end of the game, he comes to me. He's like, dude, you have no idea how much that helped. He's like, everything just happened like slow motion. I said, if there's a run game coming at you, you'd be amazed at how slow it just knocks. I mean, how slow the game gets when you're well coached and you've been in it a while and you know what you're doing and you're confident in what you're doing. Game is easy.
Yes, sir.
It slows all the way down. Dvon, you lose PJ Mustipher last year. Nick Tarburton is a guy who, in my opinion, was an underrated leader up front, played a lot of snaps 100%. For Penn State football. How have you seen yourself and Adisa Isaac, Hakeem Beamon, how have you guys collectively stepped up as leaders in a room that needed it this season?
Just the accountability factor. You know, that we have a lot of very young, talented young men in the room with a lot of returning talent, you know, with Chop Robinson, Zariah Fisher, Kozai Izzard, the list goes on. There's a lot of returning talent, and it's easy when you have guys who want to improve in every aspect of the game, especially with a coach who wants to see you improve. You know, it's not hard coaching guys who just want to take coaching, you know what I mean? Or it's not hard leading guys who have the same mindset as you. And so I think we've all stepped up tremendously, but I think our group as a whole has grown a lot of maturity in the last year or so, especially with PJ and Nick and them being gone.
You know what the end game is.
Exactly.
That's the player title game and win the national title. That's the bottom line. Everything you have been doing since February has been geared towards that.
We know who we want to be. We know what it is. And that's just, and the bottom line is, like, we know what it takes to get there. And if that comes through, you know, tough coaching or accountability from your peers, if that's what it looks like, then that's what it looks like. And we understand that.
Accountability it's a term I heard both you and Kurt Jacobs use in the span of 20 minutes. And to me, that's a great sign. One thing we got to highlight, everybody in the country knows it. You got Kalen King on one side of the football. You got Johnny Dixon on the other. In my opinion, two guys who are NFL corners, some young guys behind him who are playing good ball. Daquan Hardy, a guy who's going to play really well this season as well. As a pass rusher, do you feel more confident when you get in your stance knowing, hey, these guys are going to be strapped up and I have a chance to get home and go make a play.
100%. You know, when you have guys back there who can make a play if they want to get the ball out in half a second, it's like, okay, I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm going to rush hard, but I know if it comes down to it, they're going to get that ball. They're going to go for the ball. And then just the ability to do that and then play a game to where you can stop the run. And then now that you know, after you stop the run, you've earned the ability to pass rush with lockdown corners. It makes the game 10 times easier and a lot more fun to play.
A lot of fun. So got to ask everybody, you know, we know why you're here, and we know the end game is that's to play in the NFL for 32 years. But if that doesn't work out, what are we doing? What are we majoring in?
You know, I'm telecom. So,
telecom, man. There's a lot of money in this business.
Yeah, I already got my.
We got some comp coming down the pipe.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I got my degree already.
I got old school, new school. Then there's like, the old school's gone. He's out the pasture.
Yeah, so
Aeneas is having his own show next year.
That's funny, man. So telecom, Dvon. Here's the thing with Dvon. He's probably one of the most talented individuals I've ever met. People don't know. The video came out last week of him dancing with the blue band in the team meeting. Devon Elise is quite literally the single best dancer I've ever met in my life.
You know Fred gonna try to disagree with that one. Fred Hansar from a couple years ago, D-tackle.
We just had a bunch of big dancing D-tackles on our team, man. I'm over there working.
We didn't have that issue.
Yeah.
We guys who thought they could dance, but it was just like, yeah, you got to go sit down. It's not working for you, man.
Yeah, so
I mean, we're asking everybody now. The NIL stuff that comes out, you heard us asking Curtis earlier. So, I mean, is there any kind of good, great stories for you?
Okay, and before you answer that, you just got nominated for an award. I'm blanking on the name, but it's geared towards community service and getting back involved. I know you're a guy who's always looked to give back to the people around you. How has NIL been a tool for that?
It's been a tremendous tool. You know, just my end goal, it's always been my end goal. My objective was to be able to give things to my family or give things to others that they've never experienced. I never want my family to struggle. You know, I've seen the struggle. You know, my parents have done a tremendous job raising me and doing the best that they can.
With what they had.
Yeah, with what they had. And, you know, at times there have been struggles. I remember one Christmas, we asked the family to help us with like Christmas presents. So excited. I ended up not even being able to fit the jacket. I was too big. They said they told them I was 10 years old. So they're assuming I'm a regular 10-year-old.
Yeah, right.
Then they come in and I'm taller.
Funny, man.
Yeah, then they come in. Yeah, I'm taller than the dad. So it's like, okay.
Give me your coat, Dad.
Yeah, but you know, like it's just things like that happen, you know, with families all across the country.
It's awesome, and that's why I want to put it. That's why I want to talk about it. I want to talk about what, you know. It's not just these guys getting big lumps of money that everybody talks about on ESPN and this and that. No. It's the little stuff, man. That's the stuff I want to hear about, because I know I've been talking to you for 15 minutes, and I know you're the kind of guy who's going to go out next Christmas and probably buy somebody's Christmas gifts.
100%.
Because somebody did it for you, so you're going to give back.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all about, man.
Of course.
Awesome, dude.
That's why I gotta. That's what I'm trying to do.
Your hand.
No, you're good, boss.
All right, making
sure. Ironically, I'm realizing now these two right here have some of the firmest handshakes on the planet. These two guys right here will try to embarrass you publicly if you let them. It's all good.
That's cool. You know, you gotta hold back a little bit.
You come in strong, but you know.
Yeah,
you don't want to get fished.
I'm coming strong next time.
It's okay. It's okay. So I've got to lock in.
I know we'll get Hawk on here, or Doc on here eventually, right?
Yeah,
we'll get him back. But I got to tell you the story. I mean, Doc's teammate, Dr. J. I'm like 9 years old, dude. And we're at a hotel and an elevator opens up. And I'm like, he's like 6'5". Doc shows up. I'm like, Doc, what's up, man? I'm like, Mr. Every, nice to meet you. My man shakes my hand. He goes like up to here. And I'm like, Jesus. The biggest hands I've ever seen in my life.
That's nuts.
That was Dr. J.
Last question for you, Dvon. I remember when we first were on campus with Sean Spencer, every year we had a sign on the board that would say something like 50-plus sacks or whatever the goal was for that season. We led the country in 2019 in run defense, which was our goal going into the season. With so much talent in the room, have you guys set any of those types of goals for yourself as a unit?
Of course, being the best D-line in the country and nothing short of that. You know, I think, you know, they have a saying, you know, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you'll end up amongst the stars.
Yep.
You know, we're aiming for perfection. And if of course, perfection isn't always attainable. So even in that, you'll find excellence in your pursuit to perfection. So I think that's our goal, to become the best defensive line in the country has ever seen. We have so much talent. We have the ability, we have the know-how, we have the coaching to do so. And I think that's going to be very evident come down the line as the season goes on. So
awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Good luck with the season.
Thank you.
Hell of a season. I can't wait for it to keep going, man. A lot of people behind you. Let's make it happen, baby.
Let's go do it. Stick with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Make more good in the all-new Sportage X-Pro. Kia, movement that inspires.
Win, lose, I will pour my heart out until there is nothing left to give, and I will leave everything in that ring.
On Saturday, September 16th, will you be there live when AEW Collision makes its debut at the Bryce Jordan Center at State College?
I'm tired of being nice.
Saturday nights will never be the same again on TNT.
The hottest action in wrestling is right here on AEW Collision.
Be there live to witness what the best in the world CM Punk has to say next.
Is it great to be alive on a Saturday night or what?
Don't miss The Redeemer, Miro, Luchasaurus and Christian Cage, Willow, Powerhouse Hobbs, The House of Black, Andrade, Samoa Joe, Wardlow, Scorpio, Ricky Starks, Orange Cassidy, Bullet Club Gold, FTR, and all your favorite stars will be in action.
Listen to that response.
Saturday nights, all right for fighting. Don't miss AEW Collision live at the Bryce Jordan Center.
What a moment. We are about to take off.
Get your tickets now at AEWTix.com. Cards subject to change.
Like, I love seeing kids nowadays loving their dad. Like, Dad, what's Dad? We want to go play, Dad? Let's go ride bikes, Dad! Dad! Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, Dad! Run! Open a window! Mom, what did you see in that?
From his Netflix specials and F is for Family, Bill Burr, live, October 4th, Bryce Jordan Center. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bill Burr, live.
Mercy Me is coming to State College. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Ripp. October 7th at Bryce Jordan Center. The Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp. For tickets and more info, visit mercyme.org.
Old Dominion. No Bad Vibes Tour. Friday, December 1st. Bryce Jordan Center. With special guest Chase Rice and Kylie Morgan. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Old Dominion, live in concert. Brought to you by Messina Touring Group.
And we're back. Wanted to send this message out.
Correct.
And I'll let you take the lead here.
Yeah,
brother.
we lost a really important man here with my old school Penn State days. There's a lot of people who don't understand how the football situation works, and there's a lot of little people who do a lot of little stuff. And we've been blessed with some great people at Penn State over the years. And we lost somebody over in the past year for our old equipment manager, Tim Shope. It's a thankless job those guys do. Spider has it, and then Spider got out of it a couple of years ago, but he was Spider's boss when I was here. But Tim, we lost in this past year, and just a fantastic human being. You can tell by the picture there. It's a picture of Tim back when we played. I believe that's Rutgers in '95, and my little sister was like, "Was he a little person?" I said, "No, I'm just a really big person." So God bless and God rest Tim Shope.
Definitely, like you said, a thankless job. Those guys work harder than anybody.
Yep. There's a ton of those people.
Man. Before we wrap up here, gotta absolutely thank our sponsor, Atlas Therapy. If you're tired of living in pain, and you're seeking a personalized solution that works, look no further than Atlas Therapy. At Atlas Therapy, we're not your typical physical therapy center. They're there to revolutionize your journey to a pain-free life. From challenging struggles like dizziness and difficulty walking to those nagging pains from your jaw to your ankles, they've got you covered. Our expert therapists, they use their unique protocols, technology, and one-on-one sessions to ensure that your goals become their goals, working together for a faster recovery. Never settle for the ordinary. Experience the Atlas difference today. Visit their website at www.atlastherapy.com for all the details. They are providing the gold standard of care and unparalleled results. Join them at Atlas Therapy, where your journey to a pain-free life begins.
God bless. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the little video here of Jordan Hill.
Jordan Hill played 2009 to 2012, played defensive tackle. I'm from Stilton, Pennsylvania. So nowadays I'm in Trinity High School. I'm working there full time. I'm the head football coach and director of advancement for the school. It's a place that is, right now we are in the growth mindset, and I'm all for it. It was just one of those situations where it was full circle. I started to flirt with the idea of decommitting from Rutgers and going to Pitt. And then one of our principals found out, reached out to Larry Johnson, gave him the heads up, kind of gave our principal the heads up that Scrap Tom Bradley was going to be at one of our games in the state playoffs. And I decommitted the day of our semifinal game, the game before our state championship my senior year. Called him in homeroom, called Coach Iano, and he was upset with me. He flew in that same day. Obviously, the Orange Bowl year, 2005, 2006, with Tamba, Puz, and all those guys, AZ. I started playing with those guys on NCAA football. And then I knew all of their names. Playing the game, they're successful. They've, that's when Michael Robinson really had that breakout year. And then going to camp up there as a fan, and for me, just going against kids, me being literally not the football player, but I just wanted to go up there and have an experience, turned into me getting recruited. And realistically, if I knew I ever got an offer from Penn State, that was where I was going. There's two. And it was both my freshman season, Navarro Bowman and Sean Lee, hands down. Sean Lee goes down as one of the best. Navarro too, but Navarro doesn't get talked about enough. One-on-one matchup, it would be Taylor Lewan from Michigan. Just one of those guys that were athletically gifted and I like to say, as defensive linemen, because defensive linemen usually are a little more athletic. Everybody talks about the first year of the sanctions, when they were dropped. What we had to go through, all the players and friends, and I consider those guys brothers. Two of my roommates were Silas Red and Justin Brown. Probably two of the three highlighted guys that left. I look back on that year, that was the most fun I ever had at Penn State, was 2012. Backs were against the wall. You were literally in fight mode, not flight at all. You were in fight mode the whole time. So I was comfortable in that position, especially where I'm from. It's a small steel town. Most of the people that are born there stay there. And I've been in fight mode my whole life. So it was like a place where I was comfortable and I could flourish a little bit more. Had fun. Obviously, we proved everybody wrong. Even our own people, we proved them wrong, right? And you did it. And that creates, when you go through adversity, it creates a bond with people. And those are the guys I still talk to.